have legal. Okay. You want to wait for legal? Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'll just let you know kind of the order of business. So we'll take care of normal business, minutes, decision letters. We'll jump right into the cases. After we dispense with each applicant, the next applicant's welcome to come on up and sit at the table just to kind of move the process along a little more quickly. There will be an opportunity for the applicant to present 10 minutes. Then we'll have a public hearing where people who are for or against can speak at the mic. You'll announce your name, you'll announce your address, you'll state your concerns, hopefully within a short period of time. Is there a 2-minute limit on public hearing, 2-minute limit on public hearing comments? And then if we have any emails or correspondence, we'll refer to those. And then after that, we'll close the public hearing, and then the committee will start asking more detailed, usually technical questions of the applicant. So that's kind of the process that we'll go through for those of you that are new. So, and as soon as we get a lawyer here, we'll start. And last month I was not here, so don't get down on lawyers because of that today. So, and I hope we're not recording.
I saw her coming down the steps. She should be here in a second.
Good,
now.
Good. Pandemic does strange things to us, and we're all trying to get used to wearing suits and dress clothes again, aren't we? Whew, oh yeah, good for you. Yeah, people used to think I didn't own any jeans. That's all they see me in anymore. Hey, good morning. We'll let everybody get assembled and settled, and then we'll get started in about 2 minutes. Nodding heads is always a good sign. All right, good morning. Welcome to the August 5th, 2021 Stormwater Management Committee meeting. Welcome. We're going to start first with general business, which involves the approval of our July 1st, 2021 minutes and decision letters. So at this time, we'll entertain any edits or corrections to the minutes. I know of 2 that I'm going to suggest. Does anybody else have any others? And then we'll try to integrate those into one motion if we can, and to make the edits, approve the minutes, and approve the decision letters all in one motion, if that's okay.
Okay. I have one correction on the second case. It indicates I recused myself,
Okay.
which I did not.
Okay.
So I stated I was acquainted with the party, but believed I could be impartial, and so I actually did vote in favor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Stokes. All right, so that's one edit. Does anybody else have any others? Okay, I'll go ahead and state mine. I remember the meeting starting roughly at 8:45, not at 8:15. And then secondly, there's a reference in the minutes and decision letter concerning mitigation that doesn't explicitly mention native plants. And I just checked with our stormwater team, and they say our stormwater rules explicitly require native plantings within the buffer. And so I just want to make sure the word native plantings were inserted in the minutes and the decision order, just to make that explicit. So, all right. I can't think of anything else. Anybody got anything else? Do we have a motion to approve the edits, the minutes, and the decision letters? Sorry for the leading motion creation there, but.
I'll make a motion to approve the July meeting minutes with the recommended revisions and the decision letters.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, it's going to be easier today looking to my left because nobody's sitting to my right in terms of voters. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay, if our first applicant will come to the front, looks like the B&A Concourse Ramp A expansion proposal. No, excuse me, Lake Providence, I'm sorry. Lake Providence. Are you all here? Any representative from Lake Providence here? Okay. So before we get into this, why don't we go ahead and read our opening statement, our opening legal statement, and then we'll start discussing that case.
Opening statement to the applicant. If you are not satisfied with a decision made by the Stormwater Management Committee, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the committee's decision. You are advised to seek the independent advice of legal counsel to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been satisfied.
All right, sir. Oh, so, test. Okay. For some reason, my light was blinking differently there. Okay, so it's my understanding that the applicant might be considering another deferral, but not here to represent themselves. So what do we know about it?
That's correct. They sent an email to us for referral till October for a
I think we're having some technical difficulties with the mic. Maybe the mics are in fact
Testing.
used. Sir? Yeah,
Testing. Hello, hello. That's if I can hear myself.
okay, I guess we'll just have live mics for a while. Okay, so as long as we got mics, they can hear us. And we'll figure it out as we go. Okay, so at this point, hey, quit blinking, it's working now. So this is going to be a fascinating recording on YouTube. So at this point, it's just my responsibility to point out to the committee that we have a previous motion approved that the applicant accept the latest mitigation planting ratio that staff presented. I think there were some other details that the Providence folks wanted to try to resolve. So we've got two options. One, we can finalize this based upon what we know about it with staff's input, with what they feel like needs to be resolved, or they're not going to be planting anything out there until at least probably November or December, more than likely spring. So they have time to continue to negotiate. It just means they'll have to come back here to get it approved. So what's the committee's preference?
Can I ask staff how the additional conversations have gone? Because that's how we left it, I think.
From my understanding, there have been no additional
Okay.
discussions.
Okay, because I remember last time they didn't seem to acknowledge they had gotten some additional information from you all, and then I guess it was anticipated that there would be additional discussion. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we did, after that meeting, send them the materials again and to make sure that they had received them. One subtle nuance to this case that I would remind the committee is that in this case, the buffer related to a standard set by the committee in a past variance. So it's a little bit unique in that really we need another variance setting forth the regime to supplant the previous variance. And when we get to the point of deciding the case, we will ask that certain provisions of that variance be moved into the new variance, such as, I believe it's stipulated no disturbance from the stream bed to the top of bank and things like that. But we have remained in communication with them. Just they do not seem at this point to have a plan ready to submit.
Okay. All right, and we're in the middle. We just got to the end of vacation season, so maybe they were busy. So, and for due process, it'd probably be better if they were here as we resolve that additional variance integration that you talked about. All right. So what's the feeling of the committee? You want to defer or do you want it to decide?
Can we defer until October? Can we defer for that long?
I think we can only defer 30 days at a time.
So the rule says that after all of the evidence has been presented, the committee has no more than 30 days to make a decision. But I think that's arguably inapplicable in this situation because it is that rule is for the protection of the applicant, and it's the applicant who is requesting the deferral. Also, if there are further negotiations to go forward between staff and the applicant, then it may be that there's more evidence that they want to present. And so it would really be at the conclusion of the deferral that you would have the 30-day period and the internal operating rules kick in, I think.
Thank you.
From a stream bank protection standpoint, between when this event occurred and now deferring it out to October, and then to your point, action maybe not taking until November or into December, are there any temporary provisions that are necessary in order to stabilize that area, or do the staff feel as though what's currently in place is adequate for this duration of time that it's been unprotected?
Yeah, I think there was another feature of a state highway project in that area too.
There is a portion of the TDOT roadway expansion in that area that is anticipated to take up a small amount of that space. I think the majority of the road widening is on the other side of the road. I guess from my perspective, the bigger issue is maybe them getting landscaping supplies. I understand that is pretty tight. So if there's going to need to be further back and forth, I think the imperative is to get those plantings back in this planting season, which obviously runs through, I guess, late winter. But I think obviously there could be some time frame in that, within that time period that we would need to go ahead and get some decision sooner rather than later.
Sound like rolling 3 days maybe our best option. Got a motion?
So moved.
Hey, to defer 30 days. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Pass it. All right. Q&A. Sorry to give you some exercise there. Okay, so I assume you heard the opening statement about your legal rights concerning appeals. All right. So at this time, we'll ask staff to introduce the case, read through the formal introductory remarks, technical introduction, and we'll open it up to you for a 10-minute presentation.
Sorry, can I ask, is this screen working? Blue. Okay, all right, with all these technical difficulties. The screen.
Good morning. The second case is case number 2021-00006, DNA Concourse Ramp A expansion, located at 1 Terminal Drive. The inspector is on her. The applicant's request for stream buffer disturbance for a brand expansion. The appellant is Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority, represented by Zach Simpson with Garber LLC. More staff comments
No on-site metro mitigation was submitted as is generally required by the Stormwater Management Committee. In response, MNA submitted the claim that their federal and state permit mitigation may serve as their variance mitigation, since the banking work could potentially end up being in metro. No comments provided from codes, planning deferred, greenways, as metro parks have no objection to the proposed variance request.
Okay, so at this time, I want to invite the applicant to make their presentation. I'll start the clock when you get down to about 2 minutes. I'll do that. In 1 minute, I'll do that.
If you want to hold on starting the clock, we're experiencing a few technical difficulties. It is refusing to enable content that will allow me to clear that message. But you can see my lovely trip to St. John in the interim.
Yeah, we don't want to get the best chance to make your case. But while you're thinking about it, I just want to encourage you to focus most of your presentation on the technical merits of the variance application and the characteristics of the variance. That's really all we can consider as evidence, so. Or at least the focus part of it. It's a pretty good looking buffer there.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Tracy Bolton. I'm the Vice President, Chief Engineer, and Deputy CFO for the Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority. And as mentioned, this is Zach Simpson with Garver. He's the engineer of record for the project. We only have 5 slides, so quick presentation. To demonstrate our hardship, which is leading to the need for this variance, it's important to understand the actual need for this project. Next slide. So just like the city of Nashville, B&A is experiencing extreme growth. Even pre-pandemic, we had double-digit growth from 2015 on. In 2018, we completed a master plan, which identified that we need 65 aircraft gates to meet this demand, and that would be in 2037. That growth projection was based on about 3.5% per year. But this growth rate put us 19 years ahead of that, which meant our terminal expansion project we have going on right now, which will result in 48 gates in 2023, we were already behind the mark. And as you can see at the very end, post-pandemic, we are recovering very quickly. Last week, even alone, we exceeded all the 2019 numbers for those same things. So in 2019.
Yeah, that's the best ending we've ever had, I think. Okay, all right. So at this time, we'll invite members from the audience to come up. And again, if you'll approach the mic, the podium there, state your name, your address, and limit your comment to 2 minutes. We'll take those who are speaking in favor of the proposal first. Anyone who wants to speak in favor? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone here who's here today to speak in opposition to the applicant's proposal? All right, seeing none. Okay, do we have any correspondence, email, letters that have been submitted?
We do not have any letters for this case.
Okay. All right. Seeing none, at this time we'll close the public hearing and we'll open it up to the committee for questions. I do want to add that it appears we have a representative of the Common River Compact here this morning that might be able to answer questions about the mitigation bank. Staff. Pause proceedings for just a minute. Make sure we're recording. Okay, let's just take about a 1 minute recess just for a second. So, but anyone who'd like to speak, it's from Metro government, surely can speak. I can't get to work either. Yes.
One note as you go into the short recess, we have worked with the airport regarding encapsulation in that if it is approved, they would be responsible for the maintenance of that encapsulated area.
Okay. Can you hear me in this mic? Or any mic? Okay. 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 All right. I'm going to talk into both of them just to make sure. So some clarification that the stream might move into encapsulated condition, just a buffer encroachment condition. Is that correct?
It is an encapsulation. Yes, sir. It is.
Not one of our favorite things, but we realize public works and public infrastructure is a primary function of the society, and that's what mitigation helps us evaluate. Have any questions regarding proposal?
I have one question. Son, I don't know, is our screen inoperable? I'm wondering if we can pull the staff back.
Yeah, it's refusing to show us right now. My screen is a nice PDF of the, is it the, how many feet encapsulation? How many feet is it right now?
Approximately 750 feet. Lenny.
I can't get my screen to go over there. I'm going to, I guess, try to track down the gentleman who can happen.
Maybe Holden can answer the question, but and I'm trying to get my Mac to load as well. We're in all kinds of technical
That's the ALP.
There's a branch, so Sims Creek has it branches off, and part of it goes towards the former hole, the center of the concourse area that's been filled, and then this other portion comes along towards the concourse A expansion. And so my understanding is that, just to make sure I have this clear, the calculation we're talking about is just the one leg of that branch, such that the The other one that is just the side of the hole that's been filled is going to remain active.
Correct.
Is that correct?
And that's correct.
Okay.
The area we showed in the red perimeter, that is the area that will be encapsulated.
Okay, and that's, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Great. And then I'm assuming there's a future plan to encapsulate the rest of it at some point. The airport expand, so both ends of the V we'll continue again. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay.
Would you just keep the mic turned here
Sure.
while we're doing all that? Because
Sure.
don't want to test. If you just state the answer, well,
Sure. Yes, at this time, we are only encapsulating the area that was in red on the slide I showed you. The other tributaries to Sims Branch that are in the perimeter of our airfield apron or terminal apron, we will be back at some point in the future. I don't know when that is. But that's perfect. So the red box, you can see sort of a blue line in there just at the edge of the gray. That's blue here, I guess. But that is what is being encapsulated at this point in time. I don't have a pointer. There's sort of a darker shaded gray. There's 3 levels of gray. So the lightest gray is existing pavement today. The next shade of gray is a future plan, and then even the darker shade, sort of plan north, is also future expansion. So at some point in time, yes, those will also happen and will have the same issue.
yeah. Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
Any other questions regarding?
And the amount of encapsulation takes it all the way to the split. Is that correct?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, those are my 2.
Thank you. All right, so I'm inclined to ask Ms. Houghton to come up to the mic for just a minute, and then I just want to clarify a point. Up to this one, if you don't mind. If you just kind of be in waiting there like a plane taxiing to the runway.
Pun intended.
Pun intended, yeah. So I heard you say that you all did purchase all of your credits in Davidson County, or you did not?
No, we purchased just over 60% in the lower Cumberland River compact area, and a little under 40% in the Sutter's Ridge, which is in Williamson County.
I thought that's what you said the
Yes.
first time. I heard something after that.
Yes.
Must have been a preference, but not a reality. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Houghton, I know you all are expert hydrologists, have engineers that work for you, biologists work for you. As a citizen of Davidson County, are you satisfied that this meets the mitigation requirements we need for this site?
When BNA comes to us to purchase credits, their impact has already been determined as unavoidable by the Corps of Engineers and TDEC, so we don't really engage in that kind of a decision-making process. I can tell you that as an organization, our preference and our goal is always to mitigate close to the impact. So currently we have a number of sites in Davidson County that we're trying to develop that would mitigate for the impact at BNA. Some, one is the Mill Creek watershed, and we're working with Stormwater on that as a mitigation site. So there's no guarantee that the mitigation will be in Davidson County, but, of course, I'm a resident of Davidson County. I'm working very hard to mitigate close to the impact. Sutter's Ridge is mitigation that's already done, so that is, in the Mill Creek watershed, I think.
Okay.
Project, but.
Okay. All right. Staff, Stormwater staff, do you all have any specific concerns other than what you've already stated about the mitigation proposal? Do you think this is the best we can do given the circumstances?
Mr. Chairman, I would say that we have been clear to the appellant during this process of the committee's preference for nearby mitigation. Obviously, as you mentioned, public works projects like this that are working with other entities are having to walk that balance. But we have communicated that with them. Obviously, this is this is a significant project, but we have been working with them closely, going over their project, and I think we've just reached a point where they feel like this is where they are in their presentation.
And there's just no other options in Davidson County. Is that clear? Okay. Okay.
That was going to be my other question too. Sorry, I had three, but the demonstrated hardships were the three other scenarios that were analyzed that did not meet. There were three other scenarios in order to gain the gates or to do this expansion that they looked at within their property that were not meeting the requirements either through FAA or the growth numbers and projections needed for added gates and things of that nature. So
Both.
that's why we are expanding Concourse A and not B or C or D,
That's correct.
right?
Yeah, it's fair to say
That's
that
the
they've done
hardship that we
some.
have not talked about.
Well, yeah, I need to clarify on the hardship matter just a little bit, as I often do. But the thing that sounds reasonable about the due process considerations of the technical evaluations of their options are that they have gone through a fairly extensive alternatives analysis. And that's been a federal standard for a long time. I don't think it's a state standard anymore. But what that's intended to do is to help you avoid the impact. You know, what other options, where else can we go? And that includes mitigation. What other options can we get? Can we find or discover or create to mitigate closer to the site? So it sounds like they've exhausted a variety of those. Staff is satisfied they've exhausted that. It sounds like you have documentation from the state and federal government that they're going to approve that,
Yes.
which is another criteria we like, is that you already have your documentation in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the hardship, there's a nuance there that the state appeals court has helped us understand that no longer applies. You might call these technical difficulties, site design challenges, but the legal definition of hardship, according to the state appeals court, deals primarily with unique characteristics of the site that the ordinance could not have envisioned regulating at the time that it was conceived and codified. So if you don't have a geologic anomaly, if you don't have a hydrologic anomaly that only exists in that part of Davidson County, it's really not a hardship as it's defined in terms of water policy, legal water policy. So, but that doesn't mean you don't have problems, challenges, difficulties, headaches, all those things that factor into this. So, okay. It limits what we can do. So therefore mitigation has to make up the rest. Mm-hmm. That's kind of our go-to.
Sure.
And mitigation's not perfect, frankly, because a lot of studies have shown a lot of mitigation sites fail up to a rate of 50%. So that's why we mitigate at 5 to 1 or 10 to 1 or higher to make sure we get success, and replace the sponginess and the filtering functions that we lost at that site somewhere else. So the citizens of the county get flood mitigation, water quality enhancement, wildlife habitat somewhere else. Okay. All right. So it sounds like we understand it. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request based on the past evaluation and alternative that made the most sense and the mitigation suggested.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I'll just add for all of the parties involved, if you could do some pre-planning on local Davidson County mitigation and really kind of incentivize that and catalyze that somehow, your next expansion will be a lot easier for us to consider. All right. But we do appreciate the effort you've made to do it. All right. Any other discussion? All right. Seeing none.
Is there a question in the?
Well, I'm not really allowed to open up the public hearing again, so. Legal, do I need to open up the public hearing again? We have a question in the back.
I mean, I think you could at your discretion. It's certainly not required.
Okay. I'm going to lean on the side of the democratic process and ask the person who's raising their hand to come up to the mic if they want to ask a quick question. Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Rochelle Bridges Johnson, and my brother and I own property at 785 McGavock Pike. It's just a half acre. And I received this letter. I live in Atlanta. I received the letter, and it asked, if you wanted to come to the hearing. I guess my question is, in layman's terms, will this have any impact whatsoever on our, I didn't think so, but I just wanted, and I didn't come specific, I didn't drive all the way. I was be here this time, why not?
Yeah, that's right.
I wanted to just make sure, because I'm listening to you, and I just wanted to, because we're trying to sell that property, and I just want to make sure it's not going to have any bearing on it at all.
It will not.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You just got the royal tourist treatment here today, so. We hope you'll stay a few days, spend some money. Yeah, oh, good. Oh, good. And by the way, I was born in Atlanta, and I've never met that lady in my life, so. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, the next applicant will come forward. We'll have staff read the opening statement, opening description of your proposal, and then we'll go through the same process. Okay, just for the record, I was asked to clarify what we meant by native plantings in the minutes and decision letters, and I just said if you could insert the word native in front of every reference to the word plantings in the minutes and the decision letters. I think that'll make it clear. So just make sure I want to get that on the record. Okay. All right, we ready to introduce the case? All right. If you introduce yourself and the case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Ben Butler. This project number is 2021-00007, project 6103 Mount View Road. This is located at 6103 Mount View Road. Inspector Donald Irves, parcel number 150-000-08800. This is in Council District 33. Councilwoman Lee. The applicant's request is number one, wetland and wetland buffer disturbance to construct a road crossing and raised boardwalk in lieu of a sidewalk over existing wetland and associated wetland buffer. Number two, there is no pond buffer disturbance. It is all wetland buffer disturbance. And number three, maintenance of wetland buffer to maintain proposed facilities for the lifetime of the development. The appellant is Meritage Homes of Tennessee, Inc. They are represented by Sean DeCoster of Civil Site Design Group. Comments, stormwater staff has no comments provided. Codes, no comment provided. Planning will defer. And greenways, Metro Parks has no comment on this request and defers to the decision of the Stormwater Management Committee.
Okay, so if the applicant will introduce yourselves as you each speak, if only one of you is going to speak, if you'll just introduce your resource people there so we'll know what their expertise is so we can be more aware of what kind of questions to ask. So you've got 10 minutes. Would you like to introduce your partner there?
I did introduce her, Stephanie
Again?
Wattsville.
Okay. And what's your skill again?
She's a landscape architect.
Landscape, okay, I'm sorry, I missed that part.
No problem.
Okay, all right. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing for those who would like to speak in favor of the proposal. Do we have anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? All right, seeing none. Yes, sir.
There's not so much as being in favor.
Would you mind coming up to the mic and giving us your name, your address, and you'll have up to 2 minutes.
Okay, my name is Richard Wordlaw. I live at 3329 Oak Timber Drive, and I've received this stormwater variance request, this notice concerning my property, and I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I have you call it a pond, I call it a creek that's running through my yard. And then it talk about a sidewalk or a road, and I'm where? I don't understand it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask a member of the staff to sit down with you back at your chair and just kind of walk through some of your questions, and then I'm going to ask the applicant what they know about your particular property as well. Does that help you?
It will.
Okay. So if one of y'all just okay. All right. Can you enlighten us about the gentleman's? Is he selling property to you? Is he upstream, downstream? Do you have any idea?
I'm not aware of where his property is. I'd be happy to address it if he could point it out on the map.
Okay, great. So we'll let Mr. Mishu work that out with him, and then we'll make sure we integrate that back into our awareness of the evidence before we make a decision, if that's the will of the committee. So I see head nods. All right. So is there anyone here who is here to speak against the proposal? Yes, ma'am. All right. So if you all would come up and state your name and your address, and you've got 2 minutes if you don't mind.
So my name is Diane Polnitz, and this is my husband, Daryl Polnitz. We live at 3420 Maple Timber Drive, and it's in really close proximity to the new development. Some of the concerns that we have is children, being a hazard to children, because there is a lot of children that play in the area where the new development is proposed, especially with the boardwalk. I see that being an issue, with kids playing, going across the boardwalk, possibly falling, because it's not a small pond. It's a pretty deep pond. I don't have the actual measurements, but we're concerned with localized flooding by disturbing or altering the area around the pond, pollution. We're also concerned with increased traffic in the area. Again, there's a lot of kids that play in that area, so we're concerned with more traffic. If you open up the existing development to the new development, how many cars will be going through that area? Again, there's on both sides of the street a lot of children in the area. And we're also concerned with, again, like I said, pollution and just, the overall disturbance of the area and possible flooding for the neighborhood that's existing to that new property.
And the road, what they building is directly in front of our house. That's the road they want to expand.
Yeah, that's our house. So right next to it.
And that's the only way they can build a road is right there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's the main concerns.
Then, okay, is the zoning going to change?
Have you already been to BZA?
So we're going through the preliminary SP process. So nothing has changed yet. We need a preliminary approval from this committee to be able to, for the SP process to move forward to entertain that rezoning request.
Okay, so typically the way this works is our job is to give them a signal if they're going in the right direction so that they don't get out too far on a limb in terms of their investment-backed expectations. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that we'll approve it, but it does mean that we're moving along together forward with their proposal if we approve it today as a preliminary proposal. So it sounds like you'll have additional opportunity to come back here, and you'll have additional opportunity to go in front of any kind of planning and zoning decisions as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And it certainly would help if you address your non-water concerns at the next venue that is concerned about transportation. And and other things like that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That would be
You're
the
welcome.
August, if we're successful tonight, it would be the August 26th Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, what about flooding? Would it affect any flooding in the area?
I think that's what we're here to decide, yeah, or at least to understand it, so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So if you'll stay and listen to our debate, you'll probably find out what we know, what the applicant knows, and if you have any additional questions, we'll try to address those as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so is there anyone else here who'd like to speak either in favor or against the proposal? All right, so I'll keep the public hearing open just long enough to get Mr. Mishew's input from the gentleman that spoke first.
Sure thing. So I think the little confusion was now that we're sending the neighboring letters out, I think he was under the assumption that they were going to do some work on his property, and they are not. So we pulled up the GIS for his property and this development, and he's like over here, and this project's over here, and it kind of drains the other way.
Great.
So I think we just cleared up the, yeah. We also talked about density, and we talked about how that's not really in this venue, that he should be looking for the planning commission meeting.
Excellent.
And he could discuss transportation and density issues at that time.
Excellent. Great. All right. We aim to serve, right? All right. I appreciate it. We're excited you're staying with us. We think this stuff's kind of boring sometimes. So. Thanks, sir. Perfect. That's our goal. All right. So with that, I'll close the public hearing and open it up to the committee to what's that phrase from my cousin Vinny? Something address the witness. Anyway, I love that whole legal discussion. That's not your favorite movie, is it, Counselor? All right, so, okay. Anybody else? I think it's a French word. What is it? Voir Yeah.
You voir dire the jury.
Voir dire the jury, yeah, okay. So voir dire, yeah, with a V, voir dire. All right. Anybody want to voir dire our applicants here? I got one quick question, I guess. Is this a jurisdictional natural wetland or a jurisdictional human-created wetland?
I know that there was a wetland study done on it. I don't know that I have not seen anything that designates it one way or the other, so I can't answer that question. It was determined to be a wetland. BDY did a hydrologic determination, but I don't know the answer to that.
Is there an impoundment that is slowing water so that it ponds sort of in a semi-static condition to create a wetland?
There is a pond on site, and the wetland is all downstream of that.
Downstream of that. Is there a spring upstream of the impoundment that keeps it wet?
There's nothing flowing into that pond.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Pond is not going to be disturbed.
Okay. All right.
It is, if you can see, I don't know if you guys can see what's up on the screen as well, that large center area there, that's all, we've maintained the pond in the middle there.
So what's staff think about the mitigation? Do we have adequate mitigation?
They worked to really minimize their disturbance and have provided, we think, adequate mitigation for what they're doing.
I mean, just looking at the site, one of the things that I tend to look for is how natural is it? If it's disturbed, is it still fundamentally hydrogeomorphically natural, and therefore can it be restored? Like you wreck a Mercedes, you don't just throw it away, you repair it. And then I also look at it and say, are these human-influenced hydrological features that are jurisdictionally protected? And those are a little bit easier to think about mitigating than losing another natural feature that's good or that could be made good again. So these all appear to be systems related to human influences on the site, but we don't have a technical determination of that. So Mr. Hughes, I see you thinking deeply there. Am I missing anything? Okay. All right, good. All right.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
So we've talked about the boardwalk.
Yes, sir.
And the types of construction and how that is routed. But let's talk a little bit about the roadway. Can you describe to me what I think I see is that a box culvert underneath the road? And let's give me some information, please, if you wouldn't mind, about the road construction across this wetland.
It's a standard Metro Public Works cross-section. It would span that area, or not span, it would go through that area where we're asking for the wetland mitigation. The box culvert would provide the connection from one side to the other. But that area where the roadway is going through is essentially where the impact would be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then this, no issue from a staff standpoint on, there's not a lot of detail here on that yet. I know you guys are developing that, but.
Right.
You said it was open bottom.
Open bottom box culvert, yep.
Yeah.
That helps.
Trying to minimize the impact there and encourage the connection. We are not proposing to bridge that, if that's.
That's where I was headed. Okay, it's open bottom box culvert all the way. Okay.
Hey, can you blow up those pictures there? If you don't mind. Does the staff have any idea, are these anything close to Parnassus seeps or anything like that? You know what I mean? State wetland plan identifies that as a pretty important wetland, but this looks. I guess I'm trying to figure out what this. It seems to me that there's a depression that's slowing water down from upland drainage that is creating more wetted conditions that are fostering the formation of wetlands. So I'm just trying to figure out, is that a natural depression or is that a human-made depression?
Based on the topo, it looks like there was an area that was bermed up, which would lead me to believe it was man-made to create the pond at some point in the
it kind of looks like a kettle lake, but we don't have kettle lakes down here, so that's no glacier made it down this far. So, and broke off and melted and left a depression in the ground. All right.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Are we altering any direction? If you go to the survey, I'm sorry, Ms. Dawn, is that page, page 6? The topo? It's the topo survey. There it is. So there's an outlet shown, or I guess that's just the overflow of the pond, the light gray line coming off the southeast corner.
Yeah, those contour lines show an impoundment, don't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no altercation. We're not altering any of that direction, and even on the outflow where it connects back into, I guess, is there a berm at the roadway, or is it tying? How is that discharging all the way to the road?
We've got the road designed to try to tie in as close to existing grade as possible, but if there was an overflow from the pond, it would be directed to that box culvert so that water would go towards the downstream wetlands.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
I think because there was a question from a community member, can you speak to any changes, flooding concerns on adjacent properties?
Sure. So as you know, as part of the preliminary SP process, and if we're fortunate enough to move on to the final SP process, we're required to evaluate the existing stormwater runoff and calculate the rate at which water is leaving the site. And in the proposed condition, we have to provide detention so that we restrict or hold back water so that we do not release water at a rate that exceeds what the existing conditions would be. And so as part of our preliminary design process, we've evaluated those or looked at those calculations and are proposing stormwater ponds as well as water quality features to address the quality and quantity issues per the code.
Is that bioretention or standard detention?
It'll be a combination.
Okay. We like retention.
We've got to do bioretention to address the quality issue, but
Yes, sir.
sometimes you can't get the quantity to numbers to work in that regard. So we haven't, being that it's a preliminary SP, we haven't gotten that far into the design. We have areas delineated on the plan, but there will be bioretention.
And just FYI, rain gardens and pervious paving can potentially reduce your detention area and give you more developable property. I see your landscape architect knows that. All right, good.
We know.
Good.
We know.
Good. That's a good sign. All right. Yes, sir. Mr. Mishu.
I do have a correspondence from TDEC and us.
I forgot to ask
you like-
about that. Yes, sir. Please do. Please admit that into evidence.
It says, this is the notes in our computer system. It says, I did not observe any inlet or outlet channels connecting the pond to the other surface water. However, in the report, the consultant stated that the source of the hydrology is unknown, so a subsurface connection was not ruled out. With these kind of cases in the past, if they want to alter it without an ARAP, they would need to provide evidence that there is no groundwater connection.
Okay.
So an answer to the question is still up in the air, but if they can provide compelling evidence, we could consider it non-jurisdictional. So I think if nothing else, the question was, is there a source coming in? And it is really hard to determine. There wasn't a known inlet pipe or a ditch that fed this. But obviously there's water in there, so it's, it could be groundwater, and we would expect that everything to be evaluated in more detail during the final site plans as well.
Okay.
Once again, this is a preliminary.
Yeah.
So
That's what
if
I'm
approved,
thinking.
we will change our recommendation to approve with conditions for Planning Commission, and they will go beyond the preliminary, and then they'll come back and see us again for a final variance approval as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, typically we want to see state and federal paperwork so that our decision doesn't inappropriately influence other decisions, because sometimes we want to go further than they do.
Yep.
But since this is preliminary.
Yeah, we're just asking for the opportunity to move forward with those investigations.
Yeah, and to move forward a little confidently without knowing you're going to waste your time and the money.
Exactly.
Okay. We can't guarantee it, but we'll lean with you if we vote that way. All right. Yes, sir. Anybody, any other good technical questions? It's been a great discussion this morning. Been amazingly interesting and collaborative, so.
I'll just add one comment.
Yes, sir.
It's these farm ponds, I think, in our Davidson County area are going to be far and few between, so these are to be cherished, these cases. Because the city grows.
It does speak highly of you that you didn't drain it. I mean, there is functionality there. It's even if it's not natural. Yeah. All right. That's why they're jurisdictional, because there's functional benefits there. All right. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion? All right. Motion been made by Trey Lewis. Do we have a second to what? Sorry. To approve the preliminary proposal. Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing a lot of hard work before you got here. That makes it a lot easier on the public's time and the public interest. Thank you. All right, so let me see where we are. I can't get my electronics on. Okay, we have heard all of our cases. We have no more items of business. Do we have a motion, or do we? Oh, we do have another case. Okay, we have a fourth case. All right. I tell you what, I scroll bad. I scroll really bad, so I've done that twice today. All right, so we got one more case. I think that's wishful thinking on my part.
I mean, we can just go ahead and prove it, get on here.
Don't know that it's worked that way before, but you're welcome to propose that. So. All right, so we have Ben Allen Ridge. So we'll have our staff, did I introduce you correctly? All right. So we'll have our staff read the introductory sort of technical and legal introduction. We'll give you 10 minutes to present. We'll ask you to introduce all of your fellow panelists so we'll know who we're talking to and who we're dealing with and what kind of resources and knowledge we have available to us. Then we'll open up for a public hearing. close the public hearing and come back to the committee. Right, Mr. Issue.
Thank you, Chair. This is case number 4-2021-0008, Ben Allen Ridge at 301 Ben Allen Road. The parcel numbers are 61. The map is 61, parcel 17 and 84. This is in Council District 33, Council Member Nancy Van Rees. The Metro Inspector is Catherine O'Hara. This is a preliminary variance as well. The applicant's request, number 1, is to disturb and remove pond and associate pond buffer. Number 2, disturb and remove wetland and associated wetland buffer. 3, stream buffer disturbance for the construction of a greenway trail. Number 4, mowing and maintenance of the stream buffer adjacent to the greenway trail. The appellant is the Clear Blue Company, LLC, being represented by Chip Oworth with Alfred Benech. Comments, Stormwater. Staff is uncertain how project logistics create a hardship necessitating the elimination of the hydraulically connected resources. Staff feels additional mitigation is needed to offset the proposed resource loss. Codes had no comment. Planning deferred to the committee. Greenways, Metro Parks has no comment on this request and defers to the decision of the Stormwater Management Committee. Thank you.
Okay, and I just need to ask, did you all hear the opening legal statement that we read at the very beginning of the meeting? Okay, all right. So you have been properly set up for your presentation. So.
Good morning, committee, staff. Thank you all for your time this morning. I'm Chip Howarth with Alfred Benech & Company, Tony Grow with Grow Environmental, Tripp Smith with Alfred Benech & Company, Nathan Oliver with Hawkins Partners, and Matt Nicholson of Clear Blue Company here today. We appreciate your time this morning. The project team here is pursuing the redevelopment of 0 and 301 Ben Allen Road. The project team is pursuing a rezone of the property through a preliminary SP process to allow for the development of up to 245 affordable housing units on land that's currently zoned single family. Given the lack of housing options in Nashville, in general, our project has been welcomed by both District 8 Councilmember Nancy Van Rees as well as community members. In pursuit of our SP, as noted by staff, we propose to remove a man-made farm pond that was created in roughly 2005 and associated low-quality wetland located on the property. Additionally, we want, pursuant to the trail-oriented development community plan policy for the area, we propose to infringe on some stream buffers for the construction of a greenway trail network that'll connect not just our site, but the Center 615 site next door, and pursuant of a more expanded greenway network throughout this area and the county. As you can see from, I don't know, we've had some correspondence provided. I don't know if it all reached you. Some of it came in this week. As you can see from some of this correspondence, we've been working with many stakeholders in the area, Nancy Van Rees, TDEC with David Withers, and other neighbors diligently to come up with a project that works for the community, which includes, among other things, the Greenway Network, which Nathan Oliver will talk about in a little bit. Again, this project is in pursuit of affordable housing, which is so critical to Nashville right now. And our ask ultimately, similar to the last case, is that we're pursuing a preliminary SP. And at this point, we've come before you asking you to approve our preliminary so that we can continue to develop our plans, so that we can hopefully continue to meet the goals of the community, TDEC, Metro, Nancy Van Rees, others. And we expect our plan to continue to develop as we continue to refine design going through this process. And that refinement will allow us to further define the disturbance on our property. So we ask for your approval of this preliminary request at this time to allow us to continue that process. I'm going to now turn it over to Tony Grow, talk a little bit about the man-made pond on the property, and we'll go from there.
Okay. This pond, it was a pretty interesting area. We looked at this pond. We did an HD of the site. And the pond was kind of unusual because it looked like it was constructed man-made. We went back in Google imagery and found out that it actually was constructed. They actually had difficulty keeping the pond because there were several year photographs of where they were trying to keep water in it. I don't know if it's lined. It could be lined. We don't know. But the fact it is supplied, it's a jurisdictional pond because it has a groundwater source. But it's a wetland as well, but it has a wetland that it comes from the pond and goes to the creek. Now, the streams on the site have their own springs, and so they continuously feed. They don't rely on the pond for flow. So it's a very low-quality pond, and we worked with TDEC, with Dave Withers, because we said, this is could be a streamside salamander habitat, and he says, no, it's a very poor one. It's fine to let it go, to fill it in, because it doesn't add any water quality contribution to the downstream water resource features. So as far as that goes, we submitted a general permit to remove the pond for TDEC, and we've coordinated with them on removal, and they don't see an issue with removing the pond. But that's essentially what it is. It's a very low-quality pond that does fluctuate with water. The water levels do fluctuate quite a bit, but it doesn't offer the aquatic benefit of the streams that it feeds to. Okay.
Trip Smith, if I can go even a little further, I think there's a correspondence letter with David Withers that where he's actually recommending removal of the pond to enhance the streamside salamander habitat. So just wanted to add on that. Wanted to speak a little bit to staff comments about understanding a hardship. I mean, as you can see from the site plan, we have roughly 2 acres of water features and associated buffers on the property, which results in close to 20% of the property that's encumbered by those features. In trying to provide a code-compliant 2 separate means of ingress-egress for fire emergency access vehicles, there has to be a level of disturbance to the pond and the associated wetlands. And so that's kind of what you see our hardship is basically, unlocking that northwest corner of the property and being able to provide 2 true forms of paths of ingress-egress. Additionally, Chip spoke about the trail-oriented development and what we're required by planning with that special policy area. And so we have made every effort. They have requirements for those trails, and Nathan can speak to it more as far as width and material that have to be used under that policy. And we've done everything possible to align that greenway such that it doesn't disturb these features. I mean, you can see a couple areas where we're, adding that connectivity to adjacent parcels where we've had to just creep into it. In order to mitigate that, we are proposing, approximately 10,000 square feet of additional buffer outside of the required 30-foot buffer that we would move our stream buffer signage and make it no mow, no maintain just outside the greenway alignment in between the buffer. We are also proposing to reestablish the buffer areas that have currently been mow maintained, upwards to about 15,000 square feet within that buffer area where it has been mowed, and establishing that with native meadow grasses and some reforestation to offset some of those buffer impacts. As far as the pond disturbance and removal, we currently have approximately 18,000 square feet of biopond area proposed on the property. In our experience with this level of impervious surface, that's about twice of what would be required. Now, this doesn't necessarily directly correlate to a water quality benefit unless you're able to put these in series, which we are because of the topography of the site falling from the south to the north. Coupled with that, we've also committed to doing 18,000 square feet of permeable pavement. Also putting, hopefully with the ability to put that in series as well. We haven't got to that level of design as far as like what is that runoff reduction number, but we feel that we will be able to exceed the water quality requirements somewhere in the 85 to 90% level or an RV value of 0.15 or 0.1. Let's see. I've got a couple other things as far as as far as mitigation goes. There's some areas that we're preserving and leaving it in its natural state along the perimeter. That kind of couples in with some more reforestation. I have all the numbers and areas if you have those questions and want to talk more about that. But I do want to give Nathan a chance to talk a little bit about the mitigation efforts, because I think that was part of Stormwater staff's concern was that there wasn't a specific plan as far as plantings go. We understand that we have to do that and that we intend to, but in working with these other stakeholders and kind of some of these areas that we're going to be revised and moved, we want to make sure that we're taking all that into consideration. Really quickly too, and Nathan can hit on this, but one of our other mitigation strategies is that we will exceed the code required tree density units to a level of 20%. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tripp. I just wanted to spend a minute talking a little bit about some of the mitigation and also just some of the planning goals. So within this special policy area, we are required to connect through the trail network that will also be taking place on the surrounding properties, creating a more connected zone in this area of Nashville, and that's intended to really provide connections to some critical elements, some of the sidewalk connectivity as well as the schools that are within here. The natural features really provide an opportunity to make those connections in a meaningful way and also contribute to the Greenway network. We've worked with staff to locate those to minimize the impact as much as possible, locate them outside the buffers where we can. There's a couple spots where we do need to cross those to make those future connections. In terms of the site itself, about 10% of the site ends up falling within the stream buffers. And then we have created the site plan to allow 20% of the site to be under vegetation, existing vegetation, where we're preserving those areas. And then in addition to that, as Tripp noted, especially in that stream on the northeast side of the site plan, in the south portion of that, I'm proposing to come back in there with a native meadow and reforestation mix within that south portion where it's currently been maintained and mowed to come back and reestablish that buffer. And then also take the Greenway Trail that currently falls outside of the buffer and plant that portion between the Greenway and the buffer in a buffered state where that would become an expanded buffer area of reforestation and meadow mix that would be maintained in the same minimal way that we would expect the buffers to be. Additionally, we have preserve the tree canopy that you see along the west property line to the south. That would be maintained as an existing vegetation. And then the portion outside of that tree canopy between the buildings would be replanted in a native meadow to allow that to function more effectively in a stormwater and treatment standpoint. As Tripp mentioned, within this special policy area, we're also planning to exceed the Metro TDU. That Metro TDU has been increased since this policy was put into effect, so the 20% is even more than it was at the time this policy was written. What that equates to is approximately 460 2-inch trees will be required on the site. Those will be provided in a combination of sizes, but just to put kind of a number to that, that's how much this 10-acre site will be required to provide. And so that's the intent of this plan as well.
Okay. Is that it? All right. I see your red mic on. Is that just because it's on? Okay. All right, good. All right. Really do appreciate that detail. All right. So at this point, we'll open up the public hearing for those who'd like to speak in favor of the proposal. If you'll come up to the mic, introduce yourself, give your address, make your comments. Seeing none. Anybody here opposed to the current applicant's proposal? All right, seeing.
Can I add that Nancy Van Rees told me to relay, she was very sad she couldn't be here today, but she had a barn raising to attend.
Oh.
Which sounded far more important than this. So she apologized.
That's an interesting segue from one barn to another, right? Okay, sorry, I couldn't help but notice that. So sounds like she's mitigating some of what's going on. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't help that. All right, so life is too tough without enjoying it a little bit. So do we have any email comments or letters? Or
They should be included in the package, which includes the letter from David Withers as council member. Logan, do you remember if there was one more? Or
yeah, there were three. There was one in support from Councilor Van Rees. There was one in support from Christian Paro. They didn't give an address. And then David Withers is kind of in support, maybe a neutral letter, was my understanding.
Did he address the, the habitat for the salamander at all in that letter?
He does, yes. Yes, it's a long letter. Rebecca may be able to clarify. I think.
Christian Perro is the property owner to the east right there, with the SP also integrating, so our Greenway Trail Network would integrate with his.
And is your site pretty much preserving the existing forest line as well? I couldn't really tell that. It's pretty much staying within the open.
Correct. The forested areas that currently exist on site will primarily be maintained.
Okay.
As you can tell, the majority of it does occur along those creeks and along the edges.
Okay. All right. So So is that all the? Okay. All right. No more emails, calls, letters. Okay. So at this time, I'll close the public hearing and open it up for the committee to ask questions. I'll just mention one thing. It's you mentioned a little bit of encroachment on the buffers. It's zone 2s. If they can be offset somewhere else, that helps a whole lot. Sounds like you're going to do more other places. You're going to restore a meadow in a place that used to be mowed. Those kind of things are wonderful. You're looking at pervious paving. You're looking at exceeding the standards. Those might be good things to include in a motion. But being an educator, I like to make a point occasionally for the listening public, but, if we were to take every developed building out there and add rain barrels and, grain tanks to capture water, cover the building in vines, put green roofs on them, do ridiculous stuff, to make it spongy, we'd still only be doing about 60% of what a native forest would do. So the fact that this is already cleared, you are making it better, okay? But if you were clearing a forest, you'd be making it 40% worse. So I just want to make that clear with the best case scenario. So everything you do, you mentioned, Tripp, that y'all were considering some additional things. Everything you do is going to make the community better if you go as far as you can go within your margin of profitability and value proposition that you're going to give those residents there. So we really appreciate you thinking that way already. So, all right, enough with the preaching, right? Okay. All right, so that is our job, though, so, even though we don't get paid for it. All right, so any questions from the committee?
Was just reading in David Withers' comments that he wholeheartedly supported the conscientious removal. It sounds like providing they're enhancing the seasonal channels is redevelopment, and I think that's a pretty strong recommendation.
Yeah, Withers is all in. He's a.
I do have some, I spoke with David yesterday regarding his letter, and he wanted to make it clear that he is in support of the pond being removed, but he wants that area replaced with salamander habitat, not replaced with buildings and parking lots.
Okay.
So whereas he's in support of the pond removal, not the plan of record that shows other things in that location. He is very passionate, we will say, about the salamander and very passionate about his hatred for mosquito fish that eat salamander eggs. So
exactly.
Those were his comments. And then I also spoke with Brandon Yates with TDEC, and he believes that the pond is likely the source of the site's hydrology. And even though Tony mentioned that they were applying for a general, Brandon said it would probably need to be covered under an individual permit because you can't just fill a jurisdictional feature like that under a general. And they would want some type of ability to maintain the site's hydrology as part of that.
Yeah, y'all get that? Okay, that's things to consider for a motion.
That's an important clarification from the last farm pond we just dealt with. That was a non-jurisdictional. This is a jurisdictional.
I thought the last one was jurisdictional too.
I don't think we had a determination on it, but this one is definitely jurisdictional.
Okay, so you have a letter and all that.
But again, this is preliminary, just like the last situation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you all amenable to working on some salamander habitat out there? I mean, you got Hawkins Partners. They're really good at this stuff.
If I can speak to that, we had a conversation with David as well, and we kind of identified there's a much smaller pond that's within the let's see, what is that? The northwest stream buffer and kind of where the wetland connects to that stream. And we kind of identified like that would be a great area to take his recommendations, work with TWRA, and enhance that area that was already in an area we were preserving anyway, to enhance that stream side hatching area that they like. So,
Good. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Question for staff. In the summary, there's a statement that staff feels additional mitigation is needed to set the proposed resource law. Does this we reviewed today, what we've discussed, meet the additional requirements? Can you be more specific as to what they were?
I'm blinking. I appreciate working. It's hard to say whether or not any additional site quality or planting would mitigate. Looking back at the history of the site and the pond and everything, it does appear that there is probably a spring that's feeding this location, and cover of that area is going to be pretty impactful to have water flow through it. So adding additional bioretention to it, we're uncertain of balance. We'll have to see the whole plan.
For the people watching head at the knocking on the wall, not Rebecca saying. So, that answer your question? Yes. So it is preliminary. So, our leaning is that, we're looking for as much ecological and water quality benefit as we can get, Mr. Withers. And when you come back with the details, we'll both be leaning in the right direction if you can deliver on that. Okay. That's fine.
Good.
Good question. All right. Anything else?
Sorry, I'm almost good. Tell me again the hardships that were associated with this case. Staff had another comment in the report about hardships. Allow me to clarify that.
Yeah, so essentially the site is encumbered by about 2 acres of water feature and associated buffer, and to essentially have 2 forms of ingress egress for fire emergency vehicles, there would be some level of disturbance required just by the location of the pond to the northeastern stream. There's only adequate space for really one path of travel there. And so that would have to be, like, why the wetland area would have to be disturbed. Based on the building layout. Yeah, and just adequate space to have a travel way into certain areas on the site, and the fact that the site's encumbered with that level of feature and buffer area.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that there are some things that just can't be adequately mitigated. And man-made features like this that have jurisdictional relevance and functional presence are losses in functional benefits, but they can be mitigated. Ideally, we're not. That's the sound system doing that, isn't it? I thought it was wall knocking. Ideally, the only hardship that we're really allowed to consider is something the ordinance could not have anticipated on the landscape, hydrologically or geologically or topographically. When we use mitigation, we need to make sure it's being used well. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion? I'm just looking that way.
I would say I make a motion to approve based on the information we're hearing about the paver, the additional plantings, but I think we've been pretty clear. We would like to see more. So, I mean, I think we're appreciative of the direction we're going. I think there's still some questions. We'd like to see more, but I make a motion for preliminary approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with expectations for more mitigation, clearly defined. Empirical really helps, 1 for 1, 2 for 1, 5 for 1. Higher ratios help account for loss and death of things that sometimes don't survive, that kind of thing. That's just comments. That's not her motion. All right. So we have a motion on the table. That's chair's prerogative. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right. Not seeing any other discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you. Thanks for doing the work. Okay, let's see if I can scroll accurately this time. I think we are actually down to adjournment. Item 5. We have a motion to adjourn. All right, motion to adjourn supersedes all other motions. Is there a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. All opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.